All Play sent us two teeny tiny box games to review for you. For the Emperor and Slambo. Now, I was a bit skeptical when I first received these that they would be able to deliver on the promises they were making because they're in such teeny tiny boxes. And I was proven right on one, and oh, so incredibly wrong on the other. For the Emperor is a symmetrical lane battler, with each player getting a deck of 9 cards that they'll play across 7 battlefields. Each turn, you play a card from your hand to a battlefield that has space for it, and resolve the effects, which can be adding a token to that fight, returning a fighter back to your hand, or other miscellaneous shenanigans. At the end of each turn, you'll check to see if you have reached the limit of the highest flag available. If so, you place it on that battlefield, capping it at that number and making sure that every battlefield after that will be a lower total number of warriors as the highest numbered flag starts to go lower and lower, which typically happens in a cascading fashion. Once each player has placed 8 of their 9 warriors, the game ends and whoever has won the most of these 7 battlefields wins, with the card in hand acting as a tiebreaker. Now at this price point and size and portability, there's not a lot that's going to be able to compete with For the Emperor. It is smart, it's quick, it's fast. You can get a full lane battler played in about 5 minutes if you're focused on it. But with a slightly higher price point or less focus on portability, there's just a lot of games that For the Emperor is competing with. You have Compile, you have Air, Land, and Sea, you have Radlands, which is, in my opinion, one of the better 2-player games out there. And while For the Emperor is good, it's a good game, I find it hard to recommend it over the other games in the niche that is affordable, portable lane battlers. There are just a few places where For the Emperor stumbles. I found the games often came down to just the last couple turns, and because of that, there's a lot of maneuvering around at the beginning of the game that doesn't really come into effect. And the biggest complaint I have is that whoever went second when I played always won. The ability to react to what your opponent is doing seems to be much more powerful than acting first. I still had fun playing it even with that knowledge, but it left me wanting in a way that other similar games didn't. So for me, it turns out I was probably right to be a bit skeptical about what For the Emperor could deliver in such a small box. But Slambo did not disappoint in that regard. In Slambo, you are trying to knock your opponents out of the ring. Each round starts off with the number 5 in the middle of the table. Each player is then going to play cards that either add or subtract from that total, ranging from +1 up to +8, or -1 down to -8. Be careful though, because you must be able to play a card that keeps the total between 0 and 10. If the only cards you have left in your hand would knock you outside of that range, you have been knocked out of the ring and been slamboed. This is a very simple game, and while there are special cards that get added when you play the game with 3 or 4 players, it really is just that simple of trying to keep the number within the bounds. And it nails it. This is such a fun game for how simple it is. There's so much fun to be had in trying to track what cards have been played, what do your opponents likely have, and trying to maneuver the number in the middle so that you can get that really big card in your hand out without busting on either side. The special cards that get added in the 3 or 4 player modes that either give you a really big number but can be either addition or subtraction. A card that will let you reverse the turn order, or a card that will let you copy whatever was just played. Add just enough of a wrinkle to keep the game feeling fresh. And oh my goodness, it is so much fun to point at your opponent who has just been knocked out of the ring and yell, "Slambo! I have slamboed you! You have been slamboed!" I have thoroughly enjoyed my time playing Slambo, and I think other gamers will too. It is just the perfect weight to either start a game night off with or fit in between two bigger games. And while it may not have the rules depth that other card games are going to have, it is just so innately fun that I think it overcomes that. Of the two games I'm reviewing here, Slambo is obviously my preference. While For the Emperor is a good game, it is competing with a lot of other games in this genre, and I think it's constrained by the fact that it is in such a tiny box, while Slambo, I think, is boosted heavily by the fact that it is so small. That was my review of Slambo and For the Emperor. What are your thoughts on these teeny tiny games? What is your favorite very small box hyper portable game? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being an awesome community. I have been Eric with the Cardboard Herald.